pledge allegiance. We don't name somebody. And how about this week, Juliana? I haven't called on her to do it yet.
All right. Sounds good. So no flag, we face east, right? Yeah. Gotta figure out east. I think I got east. All right.
I picked you because you don't stutter.
Oh, yeah, thank you.
Thanks.
Already begin. I
I
pledge
pledge
allegiance
allegiance
To the flag
Of
of
the
the United
United States of America and to the republic
for
for which it stands one
One
nation under God,
indivisible,
with liberty and justice for all.
for all.
All.
Yeah, I'm glad we're not a virtual choir. We'd have a hard time. All right, very good. The call to order, roll call, please.
404. Okay. Cindy,
Here.
Nick,
Here.
Juliana,
Here.
Casey,
Yes, ma'am.
Dawn,
Here.
Rose,
Here.
and Judith. Do you prefer Judith or Judy?
Judy. Judy is fine. Yeah, here.
Okay, everybody's present.
Okay, very good. Okay, action items. We're starting up. Hang on just a second here. Yeah, I need to adjust a couple things here. It'll be okay. Yeah, okay, let's go to our adoption of the agenda items, please. And we have staff overview. We need to do that.
There are no changes recommended to the agenda.
Okay. Any board comment on nothing? So no comment on nothing. Oh, this is interesting. Okay. Public comment. Probably everybody's asleep out there somewhere. Okay. Close public comment. Board motion. Do I hear one?
I move that we adopt the agenda.
This is Judy. I'll second that.
Second, please. Let me call. I need to call for that so everybody's not shouting. So because I don't know who's saying what. So who gave the second?
Judy. I did. Oh,
Oh,
either one of us.
okay.
Go ahead, Judy.
Go with Judy.
Okay. Very good. Okay. And further board discussion on nothing. Okay. Board action, please. Do I hear a motion?
Oh, this is Juliana. I move that we adopt the agenda.
It's been moved. Is there a second to that motion?
I think we did a motion and a second to the adoption. I think we're on roll call vote now.
We are.
That's right.
So
Okay.
Tony can take that over.
Ready? Okay. Seems like we just did this, but Cindy,
Yes.
Nick,
Yes.
Juliana,
Yes.
Casey,
Yes, ma'am.
Dawn,
Yep.
Rose,
Yes.
and Judy.
Yes.
Very good. Introduction of guests. I'm sure we got a big crowd out there today. Yeah.
I would like to introduce somebody that will be joining the board in December, and that's Judy Wilson. If you wave, Judy.
Hi.
Hi, Judy.
Judy.
Hi, Dawn.
Good to see you.
Good to see you.
Yes. So we have Judy joining us tonight, and you'll get to know the board members as we go through tonight, and that's the only guest that I want to introduce. I do have Tori James coming on the line. She's in the car right now, so hopefully she'll come on in time for her special award.
Cool.
That's all I have. I don't know if there are any guests that want to introduce themselves at this.
Comment on any matter that may not be on the agenda here? It is not on the agenda.
We did not receive any emailed public comments, and so if there's anyone here from the public that would like to comment, they can at this time.
Okay, very good. Staff overview, consent agenda.
So on the consent agenda today, there are approval of board minutes from 9/14 and 9/21, and there is a Williams quarterly report. I do want to let you know that we have reposted we're not sure, since we can't hand out a revised Williams quarterly report. There was an error on the report, and it was corrected to reflect the date of October 12th, 2020. So that was corrected. So for a motion for the consent agenda, it would have to reflect that that correction was made. And Cindy, would you like to clarify those other corrections that you identified?
Yeah, in the meeting minutes of September 14th, both items 6 and 7 reflect that Superintendent Parker opened the public hearings, and that should read that President Rowley opened those meetings. In 10.2, there needed to be a correction on the spelling of Rob Egger's name. On
Is that an A? Is that AR, Cindy? EGGAR? His name?
No, I think Egger is right. ROBE instead of ROB.
Oh,
It was,
He's
you
the
know
road
me.
for it.
thank you.
Got a little OB going on.
Got it.
And then the minutes of September 21st, under superintendent comments, it said that the technology would not be completed before November's meeting. That should say October's meeting. So, that was it.
Okay, any further board comment on the consent agenda? Okay, there being none, let's go to public comment. There probably is none here unless Judy has something to say. Okay, we're going to close the public comment. Board motion, please.
This is Cindy. I'll make a motion to accept the consent agenda with the adjustments that I mentioned for September 14th minutes, September 21st minutes, and the correction on the Williams quarterly report.
This is Juliana. I will second.
Very good. It's been moved and seconded. Those in favor, please. Roll call vote.
Okay, Cindy,
Yes.
Nicholas,
Aye.
Juliana,
Yes.
Casey,
Yes, ma'am.
Dawn,
Yes.
Rose,
Yes.
and Judy.
Yes.
Okay, motion passes.
Okay. Well, next item on what we're doing here, we have recognitions and presentations. Item 7.
Correct. And so luckily, I think she is now on the call. Tori, are you there?
I am.
Wonderful. I had your old phone number, and I finally reached out and got from BJ a new one. So thank you for joining us. So every year, CSBA awards an award called the Golden Quill Award, and it highlights the essential role that journalists play in increasing understanding of the objectives, operation accomplishments, challenges, and opportunities related to public schools. And the Golden Quill Awards are given in recognition of fair, insightful, and accurate reporting on public school news by individual print, broadcast, and online news media representatives. In the board information that I provided, I gave you the criteria, which Tori James has far surpassed, which is she reported the news in a fair, insightful, and an accurate manner. She worked to develop a holistic understanding of the school district and county office of education and its stakeholders. And believe me, we are very complicated for a small county. And she had our entire kind of operations. She had a great understanding of that. The nominee has to work to get to know the school district or county office of education's mission, goals, or strategic vision, works to develop relationships with the school board and relevant district and site level staff, and the nominee had to maintain a policy of transparency by providing school district, county office of education representatives the opportunity to comment on or respond to information being aired or published. And I never had a story ever, I think, ever go out without that affected our programs without Tori reaching out to somebody in the school environment to give a comment or their perspective on it. So this nomination, Tori, went out in the spring. As we know, we were all under a different mindset then. We're coming out of that a little bit, and the awards just came out, and Tori was one of 6 that were awarded the CSBA's Golden Quill Awards Certificate of Excellence in Journalism. And so this is going to be mailed to Tori. And I'm sorry if you can't see this, Tori. I don't know if you're just on the phone or if you can.
I can see it.
I'll invite you to turn your video on. You don't have to.
Oh, I can. Oh, sure.
You don't have to.
Yeah, it's okay.
Hi, Tori.
We just went through the car wash and now we're getting
Okay. So this will be sent to you, and then you'll also be in the spring CSBA journal. So that will also have a write-up. And then after tonight's presentation, there is also a news release that we will be sending out that talks a little more about Tori and the work that she did in reporting when she was with Clark Broadcasting. So we're very excited to be able to award this, again, one of 6 recipients in the state of California. You are so deserving of it, Tori. I'm a little awkward because I know you're no longer with Clark Broadcasting, but at the same time, during the time you were with them, it was tremendous support for school districts, and the reporting you did was always fair and accurate and honest, and we appreciate that.
Oh, I'm so honored. And I'm furloughed, so I mean, we'll see how things go with the company.
Yeah, I'm hoping they'll look at this and go, oh,
Exactly. Kathy, can I say something?
Sure. Yeah, let's have all the board members say a few words, please.
Well, Tori, I am just, no one else deserves this more. And I want you to know that there are over 1,200 district boards in the state of California and 58 county offices. And every one of those boards and county offices has the opportunity to nominate someone for this Golden Quill Award. So I want you to know that this is, that you are so deserving, and that you truly rose through over 1,200, could possibly 1,258 submissions. So thank you always for what you have done to support public education.
Well, it's an honor, and I love doing it. We live in an awesome community, and I have to say that the Board of Education office. I mean, under for that, Margie, you guys, all together, you're amazing what you guys do. I mean, you're the heartbeat of the community in terms of helping education through all of the issues with funding, and now with COVID, been unprecedented. And what the board, what the education office has been able to do through the pandemic is just fabulous, and all the school districts working together. I've never seen anything like it, and I commend you all for being such great leaders and helping the community continue on through such unprecedented times.
Is there another board member? Juliana, can I read because Juliana has added a quote to the press release. And what Juliana wrote is, Tori James is a reliable, consistent, and supportive voice for education in Tuolumne County. She always strives for accuracy and has been a strong voice for educational issues and stories. This award is so deserved. And I'll make sure to send you a copy of this to Tori. Hopefully it'll show up in my Motherlode and in Union Democrat as well. Since it is so, Cindy, do you want to have a few words, or?
I think Juliana and yourself said it so well. Tori, we really, really appreciate the exposure and informing the public of what we do and how we do it in a time where I honestly have turned off the news recently. But I appreciate a good, unbiased story, and I think you've brought that to us. So you have our appreciation. Thank you.
Well, thank you. I'm very honored and appreciative myself. Thank you.
I want to add on behalf of the board, everybody, not everybody's speaking, but I want to compliment you on your incredible support with public education. Tori, thank you so much.
Yes, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So
It's-
Tori,
it's-
you
may-
can text me. Oh, yeah, I'm sorry, Rose.
It's nice to put a face with the voice. Because most of the time when I heard your name, it was on the radio.
Right.
So I didn't know who you were personally. So it's nice to see a face with a voice. And thank you for all that you did.
Oh, thank you very much. I know I've been told I have a great face for radio.
So Tori, maybe you can text me your mailing address and I can make sure this gets to you, and we have a little note of just appreciation as well. And we'll be sure to send this out. And I'm so glad we connected to get you able to join this board, even though it's via Zoom. We're used to this now and we're pretty good at it, I think.
You are. Well, you know what's so funny? You know, I've been on Zoom meetings at home, but I haven't in my car, and I had to download the app first. So it was amazing how quick, you know, these technology platforms are amazing, aren't they?
They are. Thank you, Tori. Thank you.
Thank you, Tori.
Take care.
Drive safe.
Bye-bye.
Okay, carrying on. Item number 8, staff presentations, Gold Ridge Educational Center update. Colleen.
Hello. So,
Colleen.
hi. Welcome, Judy.
Hi, Colleen.
Hi. So month 1 for Gold Ridge, we had, and you saw that the number last month, so it's 11.44 was our month 1 average. Our month 2 average was 12.2, and the average of the 2 months is 11.86. And right now, I mean, we've been maintaining 12 students. We are losing a couple this week, but we're gaining a few. So we're probably going to stay at 12. We have 7 local students right now and 5 out of county.
5 out of county.
We have 2 from Inyo County, and I think that may be first time for that. I'm not sure, Mike, but I think that's the first time for Inyo.
Okay, well, is that anything else?
Any questions? No, thank you for doing it.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Good work.
Thank
Thank
you, Colleen.
You're welcome.
Okay, item number 2, Division of Juvenile Justice, Mike Arndt.
Before Mike starts, I also provided some background information attached to the board agenda on what is the DJJ realignment, why it is actually going forward, and some of the work that's been done prior. So you have that also as a reference. And then, Mike, do you need to share screen?
No, I'm okay.
Okay, great.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen of the board and Superintendent Parker. Mike Arndt, Program Coordinator for the Tuolumne Learning Center and the Gold Ridge Educational Center. Just real briefly, so as Superintendent Parker stated, the Division of Juvenile Justice is set to close in July of 2021, meaning that they're not going to be taking additional youth starting July of 2021. Just a little background, the Division of Juvenile Justice is an arm of the California Department of Rehabilitation and Corrections. It services youth who would, you know, other, it's like a state prison for youth, essentially is what it is. And they've undergone numerous lawsuits over the years for conditions and the amount of violence and particularly the racial disparity that is the makeup of the facility, where children of color make up, I believe, over 90% of youth that are in state custody. So they're taking measures to close it, effective again July of 2020, and youth that are in there prior to that will remain with them, and through attrition, it'll eventually close. So the question you're probably asking is, what is the impact on our local youth, our local facility, And it's a good question. What's going to happen, in my opinion, is the number of bookings will go up. Youth who would have otherwise been sent to state custody will come to the youth detention facility here in the Gold Ridge Education Center. And these will be youth that have higher needs and that are more criminally sophisticated, potentially more violent, and they will be intermingling more with, say, lower level offenders. However, offsetting that is there's going to be state allocations coming to the county to presumably hire more staff, more therapists, ancillary staff, anybody you can think of, to provide services to our children. So is it a good thing? I don't know. What I do know is that there is racial disparity with the amount of youth that are of color that are in the juvenile justice system statewide, and that research would indicate that youth are served best on the local level. Tuolumne County doesn't historically send a lot of kids to the juvenile Division of Juvenile Justice. The ones they do are predominantly going to be juvenile, very serious sex crimes, or very, very violent instances of, say, murder, attempted murder. We do have those, but our numbers are nothing like something like Sacramento or Los Angeles. But what we have to consider, though, is that our surrounding communities that send youth here, Mariposa, Inyo, Calaveras, Amador, they send kids to the Division of Juvenile Justice as well. And so those youth would presumably be coming to the Motherlode Regional Juvenile Detention Facility beginning July of 2021. I think another thing that you could see from this is in a conservative jurisdiction such as Tuolumne County, you're going to have prosecutors who are going to now be charging, I think, probably an increased number of juveniles as adults so that they would be state prison eligible. I think that is going to be a fallout and potential ramification of this legislation, is that more children will be tried as adults, which I don't think is a good thing personally, but I'm just here to present the facts. But I think that is a potential. So long story short, there could be increased funding coming to the facility, but to hire additional staff, but that could be coming with an increased number of really, really challenged and high needs youth beginning July of next year. So with that being said, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Yeah, Mike, got a question for you real quick here. Do you have any estimates on what your impact is going to be as far as numbers, and what is your capacity at Gold Ridge?
The capacity of Gold Ridge, the facility is currently self-capped at 16. We really shouldn't go over that number with the amount of staff that we have. However, the building itself can hold up to 30 youth, and the classrooms can support 15 youth per classroom. Now, Superintendent Parker and Director Whitlock would have to hire additional teachers instructional staff should the numbers go up that high. I would not anticipate, and I hope they would not go up that high. They will certainly increase somewhat from where we're at. So if Director Whitlock has indicated that we're running around 12 students, which is correct, this could push this up to 14 to 15 would be my guess. However, those additional youth that are coming in there, those additional 2 to 3 youth, will have a much greater need and present a much greater level of criminal sophistication and potential mental health issues than a standard youth.
Okay, thank you, Mike.
So I have a question, and I don't know if this is for Mike, Kathy, or Colleen. One of the things that I find particularly special about our center is the rehabilitation and the programs and the time that we can spend with our youth. Will this affect that? Can we still offer those services given the level of child that we're dealing with or potentially dealing with the more severe crimes?
Superintendent Parker, I can take that if you're okay with me answering this question. Unequivocally, yes. The facility, it was designed to be able to assist and treat these kids, because I looked at them all as kids. That's what they are. I really don't, didn't matter to me what they did. It mattered what we could do moving forward. What we will need is additional state funds. And so I've seen a lot of unfunded state mandates in my career that where the money does not trickle down to the counties who need it. We absolutely will need the increased funding from Governor Newsom says that they'll provide to hire additional staff, because you'll need more hands on deck. But the culture is not going to change, and the impact on our our foothill youth is not going to change. It's going to be complicated a little bit, and it's going to be more work and a little bit higher risk. But if we have additional staff, and I was just meeting with the program manager at probation today talking about this. If we get the increased funding, it is not going to change the culture.
Thank you.
Mike, I have a question. So right now, the youth that we have, what's like their average stay for the youth that we have right now in the facility?
Oh yeah, so average stay, is typically it's going to be it's going to vary widely. Okay, but so if I had to give you just average all the kids and then the numbers,
Right.
you're going to look at something like 45 days. Okay. But then if you look at something that has a increased risk to the community or the youth themselves, I've seen commitments up to 565 days. So it varies widely.
Right.
But so our average is probably somewhere right around 50 days for your standard stabilize the youth, refer to services, provide treatment, and get back out to our local educational agency.
So what happens when we get these youth, these kids who have committed more serious offenses? And I know sometimes that they can be held like till they're 25. And so do we have that possibility in our facility that if someone comes in at 16, that they're held there for 9 years?
I think there's a lot of people in the state of California that are thinking exactly what you're thinking right now. They're really pushing this legislation out quickly. And I think there's a lot of unanswered questions, but presumably the way it's written right now, yes. If you had a prosecutor who charged a child in juvenile court as opposed to adult court, they could be there till they're still waffling on the age a little bit, either 23 to 25. So you could have a 25-year-old potentially with a 13-year-old, which would never work. So that's why there's a lot of concerns, and that's why it concerns me that the prosecutors will say, "Oh no, we're charging a 16-year-old who would normally just stay in juvenile court. We're charging them as an adult. So on their 18th birthday, they go to county jail."
So we would say they would stay with us till they were 18. And then they would the county or prison.
Yeah, this is where it gets in the weeds a little bit. But okay, so in California, you can be charged as a juvenile, but you can be charged as an adult too, even if you are a juvenile. So if they charge you as an adult because the crime is deemed to be so heinous, you would stay in juvenile hall until your 18th birthday, and then you would transfer to the county jail. If you committed an atrocity at age 16, but the judge said, "Oh no, we're going to keep this in juvenile court," you could stay in the juvenile hall potentially with this new legislation until the age of 25. So it's very complicated.
But even if they transfer into a jail at 18, it does not release the county or the school districts of responsibility of educating them if they have an IEP. We are still obligated to educate them until they receive a diploma or until they reach the age of 22. So that could potentially increase our need to provide special education services in the jail setting in a different way than what we have been doing, which again could become another unfunded mandate through a backdoor way. They haven't actually created anything new, but they changed the situation that we might have an increased population ending up in our jail. Even by 5 or 10, that doesn't sound like a lot, but 5 or 10 18 to 22-year-olds in the jail means that you're hiring a special education teacher to serve those kids and case manage them, because they're kind of still kids, even though they're 18 to 22.
So is there something that we can do or that we should be doing, like say as board members? I mean, are there people that we should be writing letters to or calling saying, well, wait a second, do you realize the whole ramification of this? Or is there word getting out or something we could give our legislators that say, listen, do you know what this means? Really what this means?
I would think, and Kathy, jump in on this, but I would think that the California Department of Education would be meeting with the state legislators to access increased funding, because certainly the needs are going to be greater for our school, and that they should be advocating at the state level for that.
The DJJ realignment has been a topic for the last 2 years, right, Colleen, at the SPSCC meetings? That's our county level meetings of our court and community schools. Again, we're looking at this as it's unfunded. The only funding would come from students enrolling in our school at the juvenile center through, as Lisa can tell you, I think we receive a higher allocation for those students. But it's basically another unfunded mandate. Now, to be honest, I am not against the DJJ realignment, and for the reasons that Mike delineated at the beginning. The system itself is not changing, so it's kind of one of those things where you have to kind of blow up the system because it's just not changing. And this is Governor Newsom. He will not. This is one thing he will do. He will do it is done. There will be, he has vowed, I think he's closing one prison in Stockton, he's closing one youth authority. He's closing one in Stockton this now, like right now. It'll be closed. That is what it will be done before the end of his term. So there's no stopping that moving forward. Where you do have some assistance that you can provide is making sure that we're receiving funding at least through probation to provide mental health service support, that they can have staffing levels up to the level that they need so that they don't have their staff on skeletal crew and having to work, overtime because they don't have relief staff to come in to provide relief, to make sure that we have enough ratios of the JCOs at the facility so that there can always be a JCO in a classroom when instruction is going on or when whatever is happening educationally. That doesn't happen at all juvenile halls. Some juvenile halls operate where there isn't a JCO in the room for low-level offenders. We find that to be a very effective practice, and our JCOs become part of our educational team. And vice versa. We become part of a team to serve the youth as opposed to each in our own little pods. So that's where we really need the support from not just county boards and school district boards and educational partners, but also from our county counterparts, our supervisors, and those from probation going forward saying, this is a partnership. We want to change this model. It's not working. It's racially unjust. It's just laden with inequities, and you've set kids up into a lifetime of being in a prison system. So we agree with you, but now let's fund it in a way that we can actually make a difference.
And so I have a question about that funding. So when this happens, because we're taking kids from out by agreement from other counties. So would that still happen? Like if we had one of those high level offenders, like just for instance, from Inyo County, would that say for potentially 9 years, would we get more funding somehow for that student so that it didn't come out of our county funding? Only thinking because I know that there are people in the community, board of supervisors, who are always questioning the charges that we charge for students from other counties. So would there be increased funding from those counties to house
Yeah.
those?
That's a great question. And those conversations are taking place right now where contracts are simply going to have to be renegotiated, because if other counties that don't have a facility are getting that state funding for that purpose, it needs to get reinvested into the Motherlode Regional Juvenile Detention Facility.
Right.
And this was one of the reasons that we saw this kind of coming a little bit at probation. We knew that this would happen just because of all the lawsuits over the years at DJJ, that you didn't want to be without a facility. So these other counties are they're really gonna be more reliant upon us. And so with that, they have the onus is on them to pay more. Especially if they're getting these grants or coming down additional monies from the state. The chief probation officer now, Chief Hawks, is already in discussions with chiefs at Amador, Mariposa, Calaveras, and Inyo to invest those dollars here because of, you know, the amount that it costs to run. And when the risk goes up, you need more staff. As Miss Superintendent Parker said, you absolutely have to have more staff in the classroom. It needs to be safe. Nobody can get treatment if it's not safe. If a teacher doesn't feel safe, he or she can't teach. If, you know, kids can't learn if they don't feel safe. And so that's part of the culture there, is feeling safe, but you need additional monies to do that. And I think that will happen.
All right. Thank you, Mike. You do.
Mike, this is Judy Myers. Are there currently any standards for separating the kids by either age or degree of their criminal offense? And if so, would those carry over or change after July of 2021 when there's a higher degree of criminal offense there?
Sure. Yeah. So currently there's only one housing pod there. It was initially, they were going to construct it for two, but, you know, so you could separate youth based on age and criminal sophistication. You cannot currently do that in that facility. However, there is still room to expand. I know in the governor's proposal, they had talked about issuing money for construction on such projects to like put in another housing pod. Could I see that happening in the climate in this county? No, I couldn't. It's been a rough ride.
Yeah.
You know, and so Judy, to answer your question, is currently there is not that ability.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
You know,
I think about the level of influence, negative influence.
Absolutely.
I mean,
and then
it's just, yeah.
You know, one of the things that's getting pushed right now, and Kathy, I swear I'll stop talking real soon here, is California is talking about an initiative called Elevate Justice, where they want, where there's a lot of push to increase the age of criminal culpability to 19 as opposed to 18. I got to tell you, folks, there's a lot of 19-year-olds that get arrested in Tuolumne County. They would all be presumably going to juvenile facility if such legislation passed. Yeah. So it's going to be an interesting couple of years.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, unfortunately, I see a lot of unfunded mandates coming down, especially with the economic situation California's facing right now. There's a lot of things that need funding that there's probably not going to be enough money to go around. That's one huge concern that I think we're all going to have to face. I would love, you know, if we had, if we were not right down with the load of economics here, I would love to see trade schools for these kids. Mm-hmm. Where they could get involved and do stuff with their hands and everything. That's the way I relax. I love doing that. And I know I suspect kids would love doing that. And I would love to see that somehow. Money.
Yeah, I agree with you.
I'm done. Mike, thanks for answering that.
Oh yeah, thanks for letting me talk.
I think you should push that, Don, in your retirement.
Well, I'm trying to keep busy. I'll tell you what, I may retire because I feel like I'm losing it a bit. But you know what? Wherever I can contribute, I certainly will.
Thank you, Mike, so much for your report.
Thank you, Mike, for your good work.
Thank you for having me.
All right.
Thank you, Mike. If you want to head home, it looks like you might still be at work. I can't tell.
Still here, Miss Superintendent Parker. I will leave though, I promise. Everybody have a good night.
Well, have a good evening, Mike. Okay, item number 3, California Healthy Kids Survey.
Yes, we have Rob Egger here.
Rob Egger is going to be. Yeah.
He has presented this at I don't want to do that. I want to give you the ability to share, Rob. He has presented this at the Yes Partnership, and he has shared this with several of those people who have asked to have a copy of that. So you might see the same presentation coming up from time to time in different venues. And he's also shared it with the superintendents, and this will be on many of their board meetings. Rob, I think I made you co-host so you can share your screen.
Okay. All right. Thank you for having me tonight. And this summary results has been done for a number of years, and this is my third year looking and doing this report over the Healthy Kids Survey. So the first thing is, what does the Healthy Kids Survey measure? And I have all this information, and you should have access to this information. But it's a comprehensive youth at risk behavior and resilience data collection service available to all of California. And what we do is really look at grades 5, 7, 9, and 11. So you're looking at every 2 years. And it looks at alcohol, tobacco, and other drug use. And again, these are all self-reported. School safety, harassment, and violence, nutrition and physical health. And we don't get into the other topics. We do get into suicide, not much on gang involvement, youth resilience and developmental supports, and school connectedness, truancy, and self-reported grades. So those are the big topics that we cover and what grade levels. The sample size this year, we had 1,358 students. You will notice that 5th grade tends to be the lowest. And the reason is that is we have active permission. So you have to get a signed permission slip from the parent for 5th graders to participate. So we tend to get lower numbers on the others. The passive permission, we send home a notification of what the survey is, and they will be taking it, but it's not, if they forget to bring it back, we can still give the survey. One thing to note is that this survey was given in January and February of this year. I believe it was completed by the end of February by all schools. So when you look at this, we are looking at pre-COVID. This is pre-schools closing down. So we're looking at numbers as we would in a normal school year, as we would each year. So I'm going to run through kind of all the statistics, and it may run, not all of them, but kind of the key factors. And then I'll jump back to what we see as our strengths and what we see as the things, areas that we need to work on and areas that we need to support mainly. So the first thing is, when we look at school engagement and supports, this is a good area for us. I'll come back and do comparisons at the end. But you can see, especially in grade 5, 73% of the schools feel that they are engaged in the school, that they're connected to the school community, to staff. You see this drop, but I'll show you later compared to the state. These are actually really high numbers. It's an area of strength for us. Even 57, 55, and 55, and even our non-traditional are at 60%, which hopefully I think that's connected. They feel like they're a part of the school and the community day school. So non-traditional again is these are the community day schools and your continuation schools. So we primarily look at our TLC program, and we look at Casina High School and Long Barn High School. Caring adult relationships, very similar numbers if you could look across the board, again higher in 5th grade, but still relatively high all the way across. Academic motivation, again, self-reported academic motivation. We have 86% in 5th grade, which is incredibly high, really, for 86% of the students say yes most of the time or all of the time they are motivated to learn. It drops again, but again, still high compared to what we see. The school safety, school perceived as safe or very safe, we see high in 5th grade, 84%, but you do see a drop in the 7th, 9th, and 11th. Again, these are not abnormal numbers. These numbers are consistent with the state. We normally see that drop across the state. So it's not as if we're seeing, when you first look at that, you think what's happening in our 6th, our 7th, 9th, and 11th grades, our schools are unsafe. Not necessarily. These are self-reported numbers. It might be, we should be asking those questions, but it is reflective of across the state. Our 84 is actually quite high. What I like seeing is the non-traditional. This is, again, our non-traditional kids, 74% feel the school is safe. That's a great sign. The one here, had mean rumors or lies about you spread. 49% of 5th graders. That's concerning to me. 53 in 7th grade, and then 42 and 39. We see a bit of a drop. So we normally see this in 5th and 7th grade. Harassed or bullied. In 5th grade, the question was actually, have you been physically hit or pushed? And it was 44%. And then it moves to being harassed or bullied. And again, we're like 43, 36, and 33. So it's kind of moving down as we go across. The substance use, use of alcohol or drugs lifetime. So this is always an interesting question. And you see, if you look at this one, we see 14% in 5th grade. And this is where we see the jumps. We see the jump 11% up to 7th grade, 11% lifetime usage. Not totally surprising. And then we see another 11% jump into 9th grade, and then it stabilizes. Our non-traditional have been exposed to typically more alcohol and drugs. Been drunk or high at school, that's not asked in 5th grade, but we do only 2% in 7th grade. Again, we see that 9th grade is a big year. We see that 7th and 9th grade year as an area we need to target. You see it jump to 14% and then the 20% by grade 11. Alcohol usage, we're looking at 14%. I think it's 14. Doesn't seem right to me. I need to check that number, but 14%, and then 22% on 7th grade, 39% in 9th grade, and 56% in 11th grade, 78%. So we see that the alcohol, trying of alcohol. In marijuana, we look at 0% in 5th grade. That seems more consistent. 11%, 24, and 42. So we actually see right now, alcohol still is higher than marijuana. The current usage, this is so we're looking at in the last, I believe it was in the last 30 days is the way the question was phrased. So you have 12, not asked in 5th grade, we have 12% and then 25%. So you're doubling your average between 7th and 9th. It's again, that jump is really big between 7th and 9th. And then we have 11% more in grade 11, and non-traditional much higher. Current binge drinking, so 4 to 11 to 9. Again, we see that we're watching that increase, especially 7th to 9th. Current marijuana use, a jump of 10% to 9th grade, another 9% to 11th grade. So we know, again, we just keep getting back to that. 7th to 9th grade is a huge jump for us. And again, current cigarette smoking, we're seeing less of an issue with cigarette smoking, 2%, 4 and 8, not a huge percentage. But the current e-cigarette, the vaping, we know that's a bigger issue. We have 8%. So I mean, you look at that, that's 4 times the amount in 7th grade is vaping over cigarette use. Not that we're going to ignore cigarette use, but we know vaping has really become the new issue. Again, you look at that number again, 21 to 4% and 29 to 8. So it's very much, we know vaping has, in the last 2 to 3 years, has become incredibly more accessible to our students. Again, lifetime usage, you can see the same. I think did I do this one? I think I did. Yeah, that was on 30 days, and then lifetime usage. So they're very similar numbers on that one. The this is one that's always a concern to me, and it's I jumped ahead somehow. Let me go back. Experience chronic sadness or hopelessness, and the question was phrased is, have you been sad for 7 days or more in the past 12 months? And we're looking at 19% in 5th grade. You know, that one really concerns me. It's your 2 in 10 kids is experience chronic sadness. In 7th grade, we're 1 in 3. We're almost half in 9th and 11th grade, and in non-traditional. Our numbers for suicide, they do not ask that in 5th grade, but you can see 18% in 7th grade. Again, a big jump to 9th grade. That's that big jump we see. 26 and 26, very similar across high school. But again, 7th and 9th is what we're really seeing. So I'm not going to get into this as much, but talking about validity, we know these numbers are valid. We know that, again, this is pre-COVID. So we know that these numbers are probably worse than they are. We would assume that these numbers are worse now than they were 6 months ago. I mean, we have to make that assumption and operate upon that assumption, even though we don't have anything to say that it is. we're going to operate that way because kids have been isolated there. And I'll get into what the school connectedness is. Why I believe that is our first area of strength that's a success is if you look at California, and the California results are from 2015 to 2017. Those are the most recent aggregated data that I was able to get. But if you look at our numbers, we are double digits higher than the state average in school connectedness. Our kids feel connected to their schools. So being away from school, you're taking away one of those strengths. You know, I mean, they don't have that strength. We're not taking away, it's just not there. So you look again, even at our high numbers at 73% in fifth grade, it's much higher than the state at 61. And you see a huge drop in the state into seventh grade down to 20, but look at ours, it only dropped to 60. Statewide drops to 17 and 15. We're still above 50%. Those are really successful numbers. Our kids feel connected to our schools, and that's a good thing. Very similar to that one, academic motivation. You can see we're almost double the state average, not in seventh grade, but definitely fifth grade. Looking back at ninth grade and then again in 11th grade, we're almost double in all of those areas. That's a huge academic success. In the caring adult relationships, we have, again, 61 to 73. And then you see that huge drop to junior high. And that's what the state's seeing, but we're not seeing as much of that drop in our junior high. So we are seeing, when I say we're seeing those drops between seventh and ninth grade, our numbers supporting the connections to the school and the school engagement is very positive for us. Again, almost double, 32 to 60, 23 to 58, 28 to 65. These are, I mean, I'm really proud of our schools and our having those connections. Again, high expectations. They believe that the staff has high expectations for students. So again, 62 to 85, 47 to 71. These are significant, again, double in high school. We're doubling that average. That the kids feel like the schools have those high expectations. So with those, we have to look at our areas of concern. And again, drug use is a concern. We've seen a rise in drug use, of vaping. We're not ignoring those issues. I believe they're all interconnected. But I really believe even with the COVID and the school shutdowns, I think this was a concern last year. It's even more of a concern to me this year. And that's chronic sadness. The state doesn't ask this question in fifth grade. I have no idea why. I mean, I don't know why you wouldn't ask this question. I think it's a very valid question to ask a fifth grader. But if you look at us, we're 10 points higher in seventh grade of kids being chronically sad, 15 points higher than the state average in ninth grade, another 15 in high school. So when you look at that, you have to ask, why are our students chronically sad? That to me, when you look at high schoolers, almost half of our students are suffering at least 7 days or more. They've been feeling sad for 7 days or more in the past 12 months. So we need to be looking at that. We need to be exploring that. Now, related to that is seriously considered suicide in the past 12 months. Again, not asked in seventh grade at the state level. I don't know why. 18%. When we get to Tuolumne County, which we have a higher adult suicide ideation rate as well. So this is not something that's new. It's connected. This is a community issue. This is not, I don't think this is a school issue. I think it is a part of our community, is if you look at the statistics. We are 10 points higher, 26 versus 16, both in 9th and 11th grade. So to me, these are huge concerns. I'm actually going to come. I'll stay on the suicide. One of the things we're doing to offset that, as I mentioned before, we're offering the Living Work Suicide Prevention Program. We've had such positive feedback from the people who have taken it. Unfortunately, we're not getting the buy-in that we would have liked. I'm going to be frank on that. We have 600 licenses. We have there were 6 or 7 donors for the entire state of California to make these licenses available to the state. And one of those donors is from our own community, Front Porch. I just happened to see their name on the end of one of the videos. So I called them. In the process, they offered us 50 more. They gave us 50 more licenses and gave them to us. As of this morning, I have 103 people who have completed the training. I've sent it out to all the schools, all the teachers, all the staff, and I would love to see this being taken advantage of more. I think it's a very good training. And it's open to anybody who would like to take it. If the school board, anybody wants, just let me know. I will provide information. It's about a 90-minute training online. It's really good. So that's one of our things we're responding to. We also, I have to brag on our team. We wrote a new suicide risk assessment form last year. And within 2 weeks of COVID, we had already rewritten it for a distance learning format. Our staff had already done it, and the state came out with guidelines about a month after we had already done. We were done. We had it out and completed and sent to our providers. So, this is something we take very seriously. I think our clinicians have done a great job staying on top of this. The e-cigarette use, I think our numbers in California in 15 and 17 are off. I think they're on. I just think that if you took that from 18 to 20, those numbers are much higher. When they move those numbers up, we'll get a better comparison. As a high school principal, I know from 2016 to 2018, it changed dramatically. 2018, it was just, that's when it really took off, and 2019. So I think we have high numbers. When you look at 1 in 3 kids trying vaping at 9th grade and 42% by 11th grade, it's an issue. We need to be looking at it. And some of the things we're encouraging is, instead of suspensions for vaping, it's okay to suspend, but we're asking that they get a drug counseling program. And we are working on some issues that where a kid gets caught vaping on campus, their work will be a day with the drug counselor. They'll be working with why they're doing it, what the effects are, going through research-based programs, and we're hoping to get these off the ground this year. So we are working with that one. Marijuana lifetime usage, again, I think these numbers are going to elevate as California has loosened the laws. We just have more access. There's more access. That's simple as that. There's more kids have access to marijuana than they did several years ago. And again, it's very similar to the vaping. What we do know is a lot of the vaping and marijuana is starting to overlap. They're putting the vape pens, they'll put the THC in the vape pens, and you can't smell it. And so high schools they're working really hard to keep this, but it's that one school has a wand they use. They have think sensors in the restrooms, but you can't smell. You can have marijuana, use the vape pen, and you won't even smell it. So that's kind of what we're up against, and they're one step ahead. And schools are responding. They're working really hard, but these are the challenges. So I know I spit a lot out in like 10 minutes. If you have any questions or comments, I'm ready.
Hey, Rob, a couple questions. Yes. Thanks for this data. It's great. Having a high school senior, some of these numbers I know are, I think, even a little shy, to be honest, having been around some of these kids.
I agree.
The loving parent, does that mean that they're loved by their mom and dad? What defines that one, the caring parent one?
Oh, I think that was a caring adult. So that was actually a caring adult on the school campus.
Someone on campus cares about me.
Exactly. Somebody on school cares about me. Yeah. And so for a kid who comes from a loving home, that's still a good thing. But for a kid who doesn't, that's a really big thing. That's
Were these surveys like done in person, or is it someone they passed it on class and everyone filled out a bubble and turned it in?
Yeah, so they do the bubble, but they do keep it. I've actually administered this survey as a 7th grade teacher and as a high school principal, so I've done it for several years. We typically we encourage the kids to answer honestly. It's all anonymous, so there's no names, there's no anything. You do have a few kids who won't take it seriously, but you know who they are. And but what we do is try to provide a safe place where they're not going to. You kind of keep it where they're not going to make jokes back and forth or talking about it. And I think we get some fairly honest answers. Again, I think they're underreported, but I definitely think that we're close.
The one other thing, I know the big problem we're seeing at Sonora High is like the increase of fentanyl and other prescription drugs. How come is that not part of the survey, or?
Yeah, Kathy, you may know more on this. I don't think that it is. I think this has kind of been a standard survey for a long time. Some of the drugs come in and out during times. This is a long survey, and I think you could add certain things in that are more specific if you know you're having an issue with that. But I think that we tend to see drugs come in and come out, and so I think over time. But I'm aware of what you're discussing.
I remember when Soma was the problem, 15 years ago.
Exactly. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
And I bought, for Casey, I had to get my.
Yeah, okay, right, we're all ready.
We're good. We're
Right.
good now.
It's almost 5:08, Kathy. We all got our hats on.
Oh, I want to know all this stuff. I'm sorry.
This is important. I'm kidding. Come on. This is great. This is awesome stuff. And it's, I'm sad to say, I have a lot of these kids around. I've been around their whole lives, and these numbers are pretty on the money. I think more kids have tried it and they've walked away from it. Definitely seen a drop in vaping. I like that. My kid didn't get into it, but a lot of his friends who were vaping early, they've all walked away from it because they're seeing the health issues, and COVID scared the hell out of them. So, yay for COVID.
Yeah, that'll be interesting, Casey. I mean, to see if that shakes out in the survey in January, February, if we do see a decrease in those numbers. I'd be really curious.
Cool. Thank you.
Have we done any checking on sources where they're getting their marijuana? I'm sure that some of that has come from home, actually.
Well, yeah, I mean, we don't have any studies on that. We know anecdotally from talking, kids will tell us. I mean, kids are pretty honest when you sit down with them, and you'd be surprised what they'll tell you. And yeah, we do find actually a lot of it's coming from home. They're getting it at home. It's coming in, we trace it back. It's coming in from Modesto, coming up through Oakdale. It's being run into the county, and we know that in some places it's being dropped off in the homeless camps, and some places it's being dropped off other areas. We know that's where kids are accessing it, but I would say the majority that I talk to are getting it from home.
Big brother.
Medicinal marijuana.
Yeah, and parents.
They take their parents' stash, or they go over to Calaveras and they work a few hours harvesting, and they get paid in pot.
Stash? How old are you?
I'm old enough to know not to ask somebody that question.
Nothing but love.
One thing about this survey that we wanted to point out to the Yes Partnership that we say over and over, these results are pre-COVID, right? So they were disturbing even before this all started going sideways. But what it really has emphasized is the safety net that schools provide for students, for children. But it's not to say as an argument, well, that's why we need to get back in school. I'm using it more as an argument of we got to get our community engaged, because school isn't in session typically 3 months out of the year anyway. That should not be our go-to response as a community. It should be, how as part of this community, how can I support the young people in this community in these particular areas, because they're struggling. And that's why we're really pushing that Living Works, is that if you want to have a Living Works training for an hour and a half, we're going to give you a license. It's going to give you some base knowledge, because you can be part of the solution as part of our community. It shouldn't just fall in schools or behavioral health or Yes Partnership or CNVC. It's all of us together as individuals that make all of those small movements that make our community healthier. So that was a big takeaway we were trying to get the Yes Partnership to understand, is that this doesn't mean let's have school in session because they've got to feed everybody, give them clothing, help connect them to homes because they're homeless, make sure that they have bus transportation vouchers, and that we're going to see to all of their mental health needs and their healthy kids and immunization. It goes on and on and on. Well, it's us as a community. It's all of us. And just because our kids aren't in session doesn't mean that our community can't support kids. They just have to do it in a different way and get engaged.
The programs to have the children alter their behavior, where they can modify their behavior and they can realize they need to do that, would be excellent to have, and make sure that help them out.
So is the neighborhood parent watch, right? I don't know about you. I grew up in parents. My mom, before I even got home, she knew everything I had done. She knew every misstep I made, and because the parent neighborhood watch, the unofficial, and parents and community need to get re-engaged with each other and to look out for each other. I think that's what the takeaway is as well. We can't do it all in schools. It's just impossible, the task.
Yeah, and we know it's been a struggle lately. We know just with kids being out, and we're trying to do it in the schools, and it's we're working really hard, and we're just our it seems like our list of kids we're trying to respond to is growing, and we're doing our best.
And the modules, by the way, the add-on modules do not address specific drugs such as fentanyl. Just I was reading through them.
Thank you.
That's the stuff that scares me more than pot. I can be honest.
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely.
Okay. Anything else? Nothing else?
For me?
Rob, thank you for your help on this. And
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Have a great rest of your evening. That was my polite way of saying you can leave.
Next item.
What's happening, Rob?
And item 9, and I'm sure you guys have a lot to talk about, but you're running a little late with your previous meeting. So item 9, board committees. We have the policy committee, and we know who's on that one, don't we? So go for it. What do you got?
Do you want me to go ahead and take this? Okay. Myself, Casey, and Juliana, with the help of Kathy and Tony. So starting at the beginning, number 112.3, which is the Uniform Complaint Procedures Policy. The change in this one reduce applicability to the UCP depending on what the complaint is about. Some of it shifts to social services, some of it shifts to the California Department of Fair Employment and Housing. It adds applicability to issues including immigration and medical. Do I have that right, Kathy? Yeah. Okay. The Williams Uniform Complaint Procedures, which is complementary to the above policy. The update includes deleting the API reference, which is the way that we used to test, but the language still included some of that, so that's gone. It cleans up some legal citations, adds some ed code references, and aligns it more with current laws. Let's see, number 5141.52 is the suicide prevention policy. It encourages schools to work more with county offices to use their mental health dollars. It adds bringing age-appropriate suicide prevention training to K through 6. It's already there for 7 through 12 grades, but this includes the lower grades as well. It has some about making notifications more prominent. They're posted in certain areas, but not always areas that parents would see. So if it's in the classroom or if it's on the website, if they're not there, they're obviously not getting that information. An important part is this language makes sure that staff doesn't work outside their expertise. So we don't want teachers acting as therapists or therapists without a crisis certification acting in a crisis situation, I guess. I don't know if I phrased that right or not. I got the shrug from Kathy.
No, I was nodding, not shrugging, nodding.
So 9323.2, as well as the exhibit, this is why we went a little bit over. There is some language. This is all about the numbers of votes needed to actually pass an item on our agenda and what situations those are. We have some concerns with the language in the very beginning of this. So our recommendation when it comes to the action item is going to be to pull this one out and bring it back for a second reading next month, just on 932.2 and the exhibit that follows that. So unless anybody else has anything to add.
Thank you.
Good job. Thank you.
Juliana, it looks like you have something to say.
I was just clapping. Cindy did a great job.
Yeah, we know that. Okay, since there's no further comments from you folks, I'll tell you what, let's go to the interview for somebody who forgot to get enough signatures.
No, let's be clear. They'd be queued because they're on the wrong side of the street. Let's be clear on that. I had enough signatures.
I'll tell you what, yeah, but they got to all be valid. You know,
Yeah, well, we're going to address that. We're going to address that next year after the election.
Casey and I go back to some of our L board. We've been together a long time, so it is. So I don't get gonna work. Okay, Casey, we got to be serious now.
Okay.
Very serious. Board vacancy. Let's carry on with that. There was one application, and it was from Casey, and that's it. And I think we know a lot about Casey already, so let's see where it goes. Okay, it says here, it says Mr. Littleton will respond to the following, and I have just one question for you, or statement. Explain to the board why you would like to continue serving on the Tuolumne County Board of Trustees, Tuolumne Board of Education Code. I don't want the code. County Board of Trustees. Let me repeat that. Explain to the board why you'd like to continue serving on the Tuolumne County Board of Trustees.
Great question. Thank you for allowing me to be here today and present to all of you. My name is Casey Littleton. I'm a Taurus. I'm a Dodger fan. I like long walks on the beach. I love this. Like I said, Dawn and I've been doing this since 2006, not long as some of you guys. With Sonora, then the last 2 years here. It's different when you go from the local board to the county board, different things control, but I really enjoying this. It's being involved with the community, you know, having parent children that are still in the school system. I just enjoy it, you know, have an impact and hopefully bringing better quality of life to our kids in this community. We have a lot of amazing people here, and I just it's fun. I don't even know how to sum it up. It's just I enjoy it. You know,
Yeah.
I have two rules. I got to believe in who I work for and what I do. If I don't believe in either one of those, I walk away. And I believe in both of these: the staff, our superintendent, this board, and the entire staff of the county. So thank you.
Well, thank you, Casey.
Yes,
Any
thank you.
comments, please? No comment from the board? My goodness. The only thing I can say is that why is he wearing that awful
Beautiful hat.
Yeah.
This one right here. I want to give an update. Atlanta just hit a home run out of the park. It's 1-0 Atlanta into the first.
We didn't want that.
Okay, let's get to that. It's okay. So it says, we got to go with this now. We need to have a vote or something. I don't have any notes here.
The interview is, if the interview's ended, we'll go on to action items.
That's good enough. Okay, we can go to the action item, of course. County Board of Trustees, Board of Education's appointment trustee area 5. We do that, and that would be it. And coming up, here we go. So it says the board will consider appointing Casey Littleton as trustee to area 5 pursuant to the Education Code 5090 and 5328. Okay.
Kathy, do I have to recuse myself from this section, or what's the proper?
You can't vote. You can't vote on this.
You can't vote for me. I know. I get that. I would.
Okay. So anyway, staff overview on this.
Typically, if you're abstaining from
abstaining, yeah, I'm abstaining. Thank you. I knew there's something. I turn my name. I'm abstaining from this, obviously.
Right. So you should say why you're abstaining from it, and then you should leave the room if we were in a room. So Kathy could make you disappear.
I can put him back in the waiting room.
Right. Yeah.
I didn't have to leave the room last time. You guys spoke in front of me, my face last time. So.
Right. So,
can he come back for the vote?
Yeah,
or is he gone for the whole thing?
No, just for anything that would cause undue influence on the board, like rolling your eyes or
I can just turn off my video.
We can do that. We can do it that way as long as you remain quiet, Casey. I can probably mute you. Oh, he muted.
I will make a note in the minutes that Trustee Littleton left the meeting for the.
Thank you. I could put him in the weight room, but this works out fine.
You know, Tony, I wouldn't be surprised if you had a degree in law. You're probably a barrister, and we don't know about it. Okay,
Just in English.
okay, board comment.
I wanted to do some overview, just a real quick thing.
Of course,
Because
yes.
we're doing this after the filing period ended, yet before the election, this position will serve the full 4 years. And if you recall, this happened once before with a previous board member, and so that's why it was important to do this within the time frame.
Okay, thank you, Kathy. Board comment.
I would just like to say that I was sweating when I saw that Casey didn't get those signatures. And Casey, I know you can't respond or anything, but I'm really glad this is something you're looking forward to, and let me know if I can help. And I just want to say that I think Casey adds a tremendous he's a tremendous presence on our board with the questions he asks, his level of involvement, and just his point of view. And so I am extremely happy that he has what do I say, what he's doing. He wants to be appointed to the board. So I'm very happy that he chose to keep on.
Okay, any public comment? Okay, there being none, we're going to close the public comment where I am. And let's see, board motion in a second. Do I have a motion, please?
This is
Julia.
Julia.
We're gonna fight over it.
Doing a co-motion.
I think I heard Nicholas first.
Yes.
Okay.
Tony,
Can we do a three-way?
I beg your pardon?
I'm sorry, I can't let that one go.
Okay, who made the motion? This is crazy. All right.
I got Nick. I'll record Nick.
Okay.
Record it.
And I'll second.
Okay.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Those in favor? Roll call vote, please.
Okay, Cindy.
Oh wait, let me bring Casey back.
Okay.
Let me text him.
I'm here.
Oh, okay.
I had to unmute because of the three-way. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Okay. Back to Cindy.
Absolutely.
Nick.
Yes.
Juliana.
Yes.
Okay, and Casey will be abstaining. I will make that note. Dawn.
You know, I'm thinking about it. Yes.
Rose.
Yes.
And Judy.
Yes.
Motion is.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. Guys, I will not let you down. I make you very proud. Thank you very much.
You get to bring donuts to the next meeting or something.
When we meet in person, you're on. Krispy Kremes all the way around.
Okay, we do have a pleasant thing. Another thing we have to do here, it's a resolution 2012, Week of the School Administrator, which a lot of these guys really deserve, some gals too, credit for what they do. Staff?
Yes, so this is a resolution you enter into every year to recognize the school administrator. Again, it's a very broad term. And in our organization, that includes our assistant soups, our program specialists, our coordinators, and as you saw earlier, we have quite an amazing group of administrators. It's especially important this year to recognize them because they are the glue holding together back to school in-person instruction and support. So when teachers are out or instructional aides are out or they're trying to figure out how to remove a sick kid and get them home and get them the services they need, those school administrators are right there. They're filling in, they're teaching and still administering their program. They are quite amazing. And so that's what this resolution does. It recognizes them for the entire week. And we're doing some recognition for them as well. Of course, we always start off with a nice little Starbucks recognition, and then we'll do little things throughout the week for them.
Okay. Board comment. There being none, public comment. There being none, we're going to close it. board motion?
This is
I-
Judy.
Oh. Go ahead, Judy.
This is Judy. I will very proudly move to accept resolution 2020-12, the week of the school administrator.
It's been moved. Is there a second to that motion, please?
This is
Nicholas,
in-
second.
Okay, it's been seconded. It looks sound like Nick, is that right? Okay, further board discussion? There being none, board action. Motion, please. Roll call vote if we get it. We have a motion?
Yep, I have,
Yeah, I
Judy
think
is- yep, Judy is first and Nick is second.
Okay, thank you. It's been moved and seconded. Roll call vote, please.
Okay, Cindy,
Yes.
Nick,
Aye.
Juliana,
yes.
Casey,
Yes, ma'am.
Dawn,
Yes.
Rose,
Yes.
and Judy.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries.
Okay, very good. Number three, item number three, resolution 2020, the GAN limit. And we got to go here. Hang on just a second. Here we go. So, there we go. Oh, I have the wrong one here. Just no, I don't. It's right. The GAN limit. Okay, overview, please.
This is our annual resolution, and Lisa is here to answer any questions you have about the GAN limit. The resolution is attached.
Okay, very good. Okay, any comment? Board comment? There being none? Close the board comments. Public comment? There being none? Is there some? Excuse me. Do we have public comment?
Call from Drown, Darian.
That's confusing me. Okay, there being none, then we'll close the public comment. May I have a board motion, please?
I'll move and approve.
I'll move to adopt the ban limit, resolution 20-13.
Yep.
I'll second, Juliana.
It's been seconded, moved and seconded. We need to have any further board discussion before we vote. Okay, there is none, so we're going to do a little board action here. Let's take a vote. Let's take a vote here, and we'll call vote.
Okay, I'm gonna go backwards this time just for something fun. So Judy,
Yes.
Rose,
Yes.
Dawn,
Yes.
Casey,
Yes, ma'am.
Juliana,
Yes.
Nick,
Yes.
and Cindy.
Yes.
Okay,
Okay.
Great for me.
Board limit is done. Okay. Okay, item 4 has been added. It's 5 has been added. Let's go to 4, please. And this is first reading of the uniform complaint procedure, Williams uniform complaint. Staff overview.
Right, so these are the policies that were shared during the policy committee piece. They may, you may vote on it without doing a second reading right now. The recommendation from the committee, I believe, was to approve board policy 1312.3, 1312.4, and 41.52 suicide prevention, and to not move forward with anything on the board bylaw or the attached exhibit at this time until more information was received. So that's the recommendation, I believe, from the committee.
Okay, thank you. Board comment? Public comment? Board public comment. Is there a motion, please?
I so move, Nicholas.
This
It's been
Casey, I'll
moved.
second it.
Oh, sorry. You
Casey, I'll
seconded that? Casey, you seconded that? Okay. It's been moved and seconded. Any further board discussion? Okay, there being none, board action, please. Roll call vote.
okay, Judy,
Yes.
Rose,
Yes.
Dawn,
Yes.
Casey,
Yes, ma'am.
Juliana,
Yes.
Nick,
Yes.
and Cindy.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries.
Okay, next one, we have the one that's been added here. Approval of the work experience education, the WE program. It's a 3-year plan, so oversight, please.
Every
Yeah.
3 years, we are required to renew our work experience education plan called WE. We apply for exploratory and general work education, work experience education in order to grant our students credit in the high school coursework area. There is a requirement of classwork that goes along with that, in addition to having a job and then the documentation that goes along with that. We typically approve this plan in the September meeting, but we're bringing it forward in the October meeting. There were no updates to the plan except for the addition of the change in the work permits, the authorization to issue work permits, which we can update at any time. So right now, we only have Colleen Whitlock and Blaine Kowick identified as people who can issue an actual work permit. And we'll add as we have more staff come on.
Hey, thank you. Is there any board comment on this, please? There is none. Public comment? There is none. Close public comment. Do I have a motion, please?
I move we approve as presented.
It's been moved. Second, please. Okay. Been moved and seconded. Further board discussion? There being none, board action, may I have a motion, please?
Yeah.
I have Casey as first and Nick as second.
Okay,
Yes.
very good. Let's start with the roll call vote then.
Okay, Judy,
Yes.
Rose,
Yes.
Dawn,
Yes.
Casey,
Yes, ma'am.
Juliana,
Yes.
Nick,
Yes.
and Cindy.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries.
Very good. We've come to pretty near the end here. We've come to discussion items. We have the unaudited actuals from Lisa Rico, one of our hardworking people that I really like.
Lisa, do you need us to share?
Thank you. Yeah, I have 4 quick slides. I'll be brief. As we all know, unaudited actuals, they are what they are, right? Year end. I'll be brief. So the unaudited actuals, they're before you. It's just the unaudited actual financial report reflecting actual expenditures for the county office pursuant to Ed Code 41010 and 1628. They're the financials from July 1st, 2020 through June, I'm sorry, that's wrong. July 1st, 2019 through June 30th, 2020. I apologize for that. I'm a year ahead of myself. And I just briefly, I'll as you were able to review the document, our fiscal outlook is positive. It's very solid. We have a healthy reserve, and I'm very confident in our ability to meet our fiscal obligations moving forward. Our cash is strong in Fund 1. In Fund 8, we will undoubtedly need a funds transfer for cash flow purposes. And the reason being primarily is because of the state and federal government. Their funding is very slow to come. As of right now, we are still owed over $300,000 for special ed funds that we have not yet received for 2019-20 fiscal year. So for that reason, our general fund will probably have to do a funds transfer, temporary funds transfer. It's a loan. We are able to charge interest for that in our fund transfer. And we would only do that if it spanned over 30 days. If it's within 30 days, we don't typically take interest or charge interest for that temporary loan. What we would typically do in a normal year is that we would go ahead and do a journal transfer from districts, and they could start paying us for the excess cost. But with all of the deferrals that they're facing this year, I figured it would be more prudent for us to do a temporary funds transfer from our general fund, since we have a significant fund balance. Again, I will keep the County Superintendent Parker apprised of any temporary transfers we do, as well as inform the governing board, the SALPA governing board.
Okay, Lisa, follow through on 2. Did you get that? Okay.
Do you have some questions? I'm sorry, I only have a couple more slides.
Yeah, she's still.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I was just.
It's my fault too. Go ahead.
Total revenues as of June 30th, 2020 were $16,147,006. Expenditures were $15.9 million, and our net increase to fund balance is just over $235,000. The general fund detail, it may be found on pages 4 through 15 of your budget document. As you know, the general fund and Fund 8, the SELPA fund, they roll up into one fund for accounting purposes and for the reference here on your balance sheet. The majority of the special education, or the majority of the expenditures, are related to special education. Specifically, it is $9.6 million of our expenditures are special education, and $6.3 million are specifically general fund. Of that, we have roughly 55% attributed to salaries, and employee benefits hover right around 20%. Our books and supplies are at 3%. Services and other operating expenditures are 20%, or $3.1 million. And then our capital outlay and other outgo is roughly 5%, equivalent to $765,531. And for more details related to the special education expenditures, revenue and expenditures, I included the special education budget unaudited actuals that will also be presented to the governing board later this month. And those may be found on pages 81 through 88 of your budget document.
Okay.
Thank you.
And then just the final sheet, the final slide I have here just reflects all of our other funds that we have at the county office. Our Fund 10 is essentially, it's a pass-through. In order for for our districts to utilize a resource code, a special savings account or accounting fund resource 6500, we have to allocate them funds. And since we're on the current methodology only allows for excess costs right now, we're not distributing funds. We do a $1 per ADA pass-through to districts so that they may use that resource code, that special account. So that's what for Fund 10 is essentially. It's just the in and out. The $117 that is in that restricted component of ending fund balance is just minor interest that has been accumulated over the years. Form 11 is our adult education fund. We anticipate a carryover into the 2021 fiscal year, $6,893. Again, our child development fund, that's a pass-through primarily that goes to ISIS. And along with that, we have our first 5. There's a small component that is first 5 that is also a pass-through. We do collect indirect on both of those accounts. And the remaining balance is $553. And that's essentially, again, just some minor interest that accumulated over the years. Our Form 14 that may be found, the detail may be found on pages 22 and 23 of your budget document, is the deferred maintenance fund. We anticipate having ending fund balance of $360,077. And again, that fund is primarily used for needs. Forest Reserve Fund is strictly a pass-through for our districts. So we receive that funding annually. And as I mentioned in our in the budget narrative, our portion of the Forest Reserve Fund for the 2019-2020 fiscal year was $60,928. The balance of that was directly allocated to the district. We did not take any indirect or anything else off the top. It's directly apportioned to each district based on the methodology that you approve annually. Our Fund 17, our Reserve for Economic Uncertainty, has just over $1 million. Form 20, which is our special reserve for post-employment benefits, has a $40,000 ending fund balance. Our special reserve fund for capital outlay, again for facility needs, has $388,976. And then our CISC trust, which also carries our post-employment benefits, has roughly $1,093,000 as a fund balance. That's all I have for the presentation, and I'm willing to take any questions if you have any.
Hey, Liz, thank you again for making this so clear and simple. I really appreciate it. Why do we break out salary and benefits into two? Why don't we, normally they're one category? Is it just the show the increasing costs and benefits, or?
Yeah, it's reported separately in the SACS reporting form, so I just reflect it as such.
And
it's actually broken out by certificated classified. If you look at the detail in pages like 6 and 7, or I'm sorry, 7 and 8, it will actually break it down by classification as well. So it'll even pull out like your administrative costs by category, by either classified or certificated. So there is a lot of detail in the budget document. Very.
For my own edification, I'm sure people ask the I can talk. As our costs compared to other counties, is there a state report that comes out that kind of lists everyone? I assume there's a report that shows every county side by side. I'm interested in what our costs are compared to other counties.
So really statewide, you can, there is some really cool information available, some data out there that I can bring back to a future meeting if you'd like, that roughly 90 to 95% of district budgets is salary and benefits. So for us to be at 75% is great. It really is.
Oh, it's awesome. No, I'm very happy with it.
Yeah. So there's a form J90 that that is available online to everyone to access that shows salaries for everyone in the state. It's an optional annual report, but a lot of LEAs really do complete it, and we do it annually. So it's really cool to go check out what your neighbors are spending on salaries and benefits.
And I understand salaries are definitely fluctuating in the state as we're all learning, but benefits should be pretty much on par, I think.
Yes, with the exception of unemployment and health and welfare and workers' comp. Those will fluctuate depending on XMOD.
Okay, cool. Thank you. I'm sorry. It's like the numbers.
No, those are great questions. Thank you.
Lisa, this is Juliana, and I have a question. What is our reserve at now?
So we are at 18%. That is our reserve. When we met earlier, when I was developing the 2021 budget, I was very concerned about all of the deferrals and the actual deficit factor. My recommendation was for us to hold off in increasing it an additional 1%. So we'll kind of see how this year plays out, after first interim and second interim, and then I'll bring another report to the board in January for your consideration. But yes,
and maybe
18%.
Okay, and then maybe then in January we can think about maybe inching up.
Yes, that would be. Yeah, definitely. Even if
Okay, thank you.
half of a percent, we don't have to do a full 1%. If we feel comfortable with doing 0.5%, that's still significant. So it's better than nothing.
I'm game. Good, thank you.
You know, Lisa, it's nice to end up with the extra money you've managed to collect in restricted funds and whatnot. It's pretty impressive considering everything. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay. Anything else?
We have our next item, which is also Lisa, which is our EPA final.
Right, it's number two, right. I thought you just fall through on that.
Yeah,
EPA,
sorry.
yeah.
Okay, so yeah, the final EPA report. So the education protection account was a combination of Prop 30 and then Prop 55, subsequently Prop 50. And basically, it's not additional funds. It's just a separate allocation calculation that the state apportions to LEAs in the state of California. Initially, at the beginning of the 1920 fiscal year, the appropriation was supposed to be closer to $357,000. After the minor recession that we experienced, the reduction in revenue, the allocation was dropped to $197,000. So that's why it looks significantly lower. However, since it's not additional funding, the state backfills us with our regular apportionment. So it's just our Prop 98 funding that backfilled this revenue. It's just a different pot of money. So we didn't lose any money. If anything, we increased revenue because of our increased Type C students that we served in TLC and GREX. However, that's why you see a reduction from what I originally brought you in last spring during budget adoption. So basically, the expenditures haven't changed. They're still funding a part of our technology and media, and our maintenance and operations, and a portion of that is for our general administration, which is our Troy's salary. So county offices are allowed to utilize these specific funds for administration. Districts are not able to use prop or education protection account funding on administrative salaries. So that is what is before you.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Superintendent Parker, we got TCS staff giving a COVID-19 response.
Yeah, so every board meeting, I try to give you an update on not just our county programs, but also how districts are moving forward. I had a great meeting today with Adventist Health and Public Health and Martha and myself from county schools, representing our schools' point of view, which is we're really struggling right now with the symptom checker that requires us to send students home when they have congestion or a stuffy nose. That's sending home quite a lot of kids. And then for them to return prior to 10 days, they are required to have either a medical determination that it's due to something else, like allergies or just a seasonal hay fever, that kind of thing, or they have to have a COVID test. And for example, today on Monday, the state testing site is closed, so they would have to wait till tomorrow. And if they don't do either one of those things, then I have to operate under a presumption of a positive test. And that means anybody who's been within 6 feet for more than 15 minutes also has to quarantine. You can imagine for county operated programs where we're very close with our students, this has been a struggle. With our K-2 classrooms, it's been a struggle. Kindergartners don't understand 6 feet and don't invade my bubble, that kind of thing. So we clarified, because really the guidance from CDC is not simply just a stuffy nose or even just a headache. There's 7 top symptoms, and we'll be working on revising that, the the flow chart that we used in order to determine what to do when a child becomes symptomatic at school or is symptomatic at home and is being held back from coming to school. It was a great conversation, so we're going to revise that, that'll help us out quite a bit. We still have a struggle with testing in our county. Of course, the state testing facility will come over in November, beginning of November, but it's still a struggle to get the test results back in a timely manner. Adventist Health considered changing their lab to the state testing lab because they have a quicker turnaround. It's about 48, no more than 72 hours. Adventist Health is anywhere from a week to 10 days.
Ooh.
Yeah, so at that point, it's like, why bother, right? It's your isolation period. So they, at this point, decided not to change their testing laboratory, but we're going to try and work together on entering into an agreement to do the saliva test, the quick test. We found Adventist Health is working with a partner that has one that has a higher reliability, which means that if you get tested positive on the quick test, you have to go and get a confirmation test. There's a cost to that, and we're looking at ways to pay it. I am still asking the county board of supervisors to use their CARES funding because not enough people are applying for that that business reimbursement. They're not applying for it, so they can't get rid of it. And whatever you don't spend, you're going to.
We'll take it.
I'll take it, and I'll set up testing. So that's the struggle for us in all schools, is how to work through these illnesses. And also with students being enclosed, it's going to go up in terms of illness, also among staff. We have wiped out our substitute teacher pool. We have multiple teachers at many sites that are out on extended leaves of absences, and they are working very hard to get that sub pool refilled, because now we have no one to cover if someone is out. We grabbed a couple of subs that we keep basically every day because we can put them into certain programs because they're not cross-contaminating. Other districts have done that as well, but right now we're all struggling with that. In Sonora High, last Thursday, if you did not hear, Casey, you should have heard this. They are starting a return to school. It's a very unique model. It's totally different than what any other school decided to do. And the rationale, I met with Ed Palfrey today, the rationale for that makes absolute sense when you walk it through. They have to figure out how to get 450 students onto campus going through a screening process, half of their kids. And so they didn't want to just invite 450 kids back over 2 days and wipe out their staff in terms of exhaustion and just stress. So they're going to start next week with, on the first day, there's a gold and a green cohort. And on day one, on Monday, half of the kids come that are part of that cohort, and they come to school in person. At 8 checkpoints, they'll all be screened. They have this really amazing little system I was looking at today where they get a little ticket that shows that I passed my screening. And it also comes up on a computer, on an app that they can have on their phone. Those kids will go to school. The rest of the kids will stay home and do distance learning. On the second day, everybody stays home and does distance learning. And it's synchronous distance learning. So kids are having to come into their classrooms virtually throughout the day. On Wednesday, it's called asynchronous. That means everybody stays home. And think of it like independent study. They're working on work that they have already been assigned. On Thursday, the next cohort, half of them, the ones that haven't been on campus, will come on campus. The other half stay home and they're learning distance learning. And then on Friday, they all stay home for distance learning. They're only doing that for 2 to 4 weeks. They can make a decision on how things are going. They gave Ed Palfrey that authority that if things are looking really good and our numbers are holding good, you can accelerate the timetable and bring the cohorts back for a full 2-day cohorts. They have shortened days. It's quite a feat. You got to remember they're moving 1,000 students through their doors trying to keep everybody away from each other, but also trying to maintain a high school schedule. So I think of all the school districts, Sonora High had the biggest challenge to work out. And then the last thing I wanted to report, if school districts are coming back for all full in-person instruction, because some of our elementary schools have done that, Soulsbyville, Sonora L, and Twain Harte. Sonora High School is going to do that starting next week. Somerville L did that in a different way, and I think they're fully back. They have to be able to contact trace. Public health was very clear about that. So the most that public health can do in contact tracing is about 60 individuals. So you have a student in a class and it's not cohorted, and you have 20 kids in that class, and you have the teacher, and if everyone was within 6 feet of each other for more than 15 minutes, you've got 21 individuals there. If the student is the positive one, you could have that student interacting with people on the bus, people in the cafeteria, people on the playground. If all of those people that one student interacted with exceeds 60 contacts, then for the county is going to say you're going to have to shut down. So the schools have to talk to each other. We have to make sure that we're all maintaining our practices that we're supposed to, because if 2 districts have 2 classrooms of 20 kids and they're all in the same boat, you can imagine that'll get to 60 pretty quick. So public health is pretty clear about that the contact tracing is going to be problematic if multiple schools start to experience 1 or 2 individuals that have a case. Right now, we have no confirmed cases of COVID that has been contracted in the school districts or in our school sites.
That's good news.
Right.
Yeah, I have a concern about something though. Kids need to socialize to a certain extent. And again, we have to really, it's the way I view it, we have to really tell them how serious this can be. To wit, take a look at the colleges have opened up and had to shut down, that kind of thing. So it's a real problem. What happens off campus? And so I don't know what we're going to do there. But we can only control certain things or try to control them.
You're absolutely right. We can't control what people do or staff, what they do outside of their employment or their time at school. So that's why it's a multi-pronged approach. It's not just testing, it's not just screening, it's not just distancing, it's all 3 together that make it so that a community will reduce the rate of spread. We're not going to prevent it. It will continue. We've got 3 from the weekend, and from today we've got 3 cases, and that will continue. We're also now in a different kind of category, and it's based on raw numbers instead of a percentage. So just so you know that, I think Public Health explained that in their update last week. So yeah, it has to be a multi-pronged approach, and the community, if they want to keep schools open, the community knows what they need to do in order to make that happen. And we've seen it in districts and in counties around California and across the United States, that if the community transmission goes up, the transmission in schools go up. And even in countries that were doing well, if their community transmission gets away from them, their schools have to shut back down. So it's again, it's kind of like the Healthy Kids Survey, right? It's a community effort. It's not just schools doing it. It has to be everybody together. You're absolutely right, Don.
Okay.
I had a question about on COVID stuff. I was on the Jamestown, as you know, I was on the Jamestown L meeting last week when the president resigned after they voted to open. And her biggest concern was all the lawsuits that were going to come down because of COVID to the school districts. Do we have any news or updates on that part of it?
We have no liability coverage from our insurance carriers for either a staff member or a student who contracts it, or grandma who gets it from her grandchild who got it from an outbreak at a school.
All right.
So no, we have no liability protection. we have no coverage by our insurance, it would all be paid out of general fund or your healthy reserve.
And Kathy, just because I was in a CSBA meeting and I wanted to double check this, but that goes for anything like the flu or the chicken pox or anything, right?
Right. But it was little known. A lot of people didn't realize this until it came up. Because it's a pandemic as opposed to an outbreak. It was never on anyone's radar. So yes, it's called a biological pathogen. You are not ever covered by your insurance for that.
Okay, that's what I had. I thought I heard something. I heard something that we were moving in that direction though for a hold harmless.
They're trying at the federal level, but you know where that's all stuck at, right?
Yeah.
And then the state one died in committee. So,
is there any way we could encourage public support through radio stations and whatnot to parents?
We work with public health, and we do. We work with their multi-agency PIOs, public information officers. So we have a messaging campaign out there. It's on social media. It's in a variety. All of the agencies are part of it, but there's a prevalence of and I have to say I see more masking in our community than I have seen in the past. So the masking, I think, has increased. But for a part of our population, they do not believe that COVID is as bad as has been told to us, and so they
Trump proved
do not engage in those protective activities.
Kathy, this is Judy. I thought I understood that a staff member contracting COVID was presumptive. So would that be covered under workers' comp, or is that not right?
It's only if there's a caveat to that.
Okay.
If you have less than 100 employees, it's if 4 or more employees have it.
Okay.
If you're over 100, it's 4%.
Okay.
So that's why every case of COVID you have, whether it's contracted here or elsewhere, is required to be reported to the JPA, because it doesn't matter where they got it. If you have 4 employees that have COVID, they may have all gone to the same baby shower together. It's still considered, then that is a presumptive workers' comp case.
Okay.
If it's under that 4% or under that number 4, then you have to work each case individually and do a contact tracing.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any more on COVID? Okay, nothing more on COVID. Oh, go ahead.
So we're COVID out.
Okay, yeah, I'm COVID out. Information items next, and we have a quarterly report on our surplus property, which I'm sure is great demand. So what do we got, Kathy?
It's in the information item. It says that we have, the details are in there. It is less than 25,000. The 5 items are worth a total of, well, actually 4 items are worth a total of $25.
Oh my goodness. Wow.
I'm spinning one spot.
That's an information item. So.
Okay, you don't want to say any more on this now, do you? You don't want to. If you do, let me know.
No, I'm good. That's it.
Okay, let's see.
Troy likes to throw away stuff. So.
Donate it somewhere. Okay, comments, board members. Any comments?
Just a quick thing for Tony. This is Judy. My name Myers is spelled M-Y. A couple of places in the agenda, it's got an extra E in it. So, yeah.
I noticed that when I was going through, and I meant to ask how you spelled it, but I checked on our website and went with the M-Y. But I'll try
Good.
to
I noticed a
find
couple
all
places
of
on the agenda. It was an M-E, so no problem, but thank you.
Okay. Anybody else?
Yeah, I just want to
Oh,
thought
yeah.
in your head, we're having our organizational meeting, I believe, in December. Dawn will unfortunately not be joining us next year. So we will have to, anyway, we'd have to elect a new president. And board policy says that if you are interested in that position, to let Kathy know. And she can read those names before we make our nomination and vote for president, clerk, whatever. So I'm happy to answer any questions. For those of you that don't know, I've been a past president, as has Juliana. Happy to answer any questions about it if you're interested. But if not, just kind of let the thought circulate.
Okay, thank you.
And I have a question, just a real quick one. The question: what is happening in Groveland Big Oak Flat? Are they returned to school?
Kathy, you can probably have more accurate. Their last board meeting.
You go, Judy.
Well, I was just going to say, at their last board meeting, their plan was to return K through 5, I believe, today, and then the following week it would be 6 through 12. So I haven't talked to Winnette today. They have a meeting on Wednesday, so you may have a more up to date.
That's perfect.
Thank you, because I know that I've been kind of keeping track on which schools, and I know that with the fire and everything, things got kind of turned around over in our South County. But I have been thinking of them, Judy, and you too.
Thank you. Thank you, Julie.
So just glad to know that.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, any further board comments before we go on to the county suit? Okay, Kathy, item 2 here. Any further comments?
Yes, when we need signatures, what will happen is Tony will email us. And if you're a person that's required to have a signature, we'll just you just give me a call or send me an email, and you can drop in and I'll have it ready for you to sign. I just wanted to make sure you knew how we were going to work that. I talked to Robbie Bergstrom at the elections office, and I have information for you. I thought maybe once he finds the answer to the second part of the question, I might just have him come and talk to you about why are your boundaries like your boundaries? Why aren't they following school districts? And I thought I knew the answer, and it was that answer, which is it follows census data. It's not driven by necessarily the school districts. And as you know, Sonora L has has quite a few more kids than Jamestown, and so that's why, like, for example, Sonora L kind of falls into the trustee area 5 as well. The last board was presented 3 options, I believe, Tony. Oh, Tony froze a little bit. Presented 3 options, and the option that they landed on is that weird one that you have, Casey. And so when the census is completed, we'll have to go through that process again. And
yes.
She's unfrozen. She's frozen, but her voice isn't.
Okay.
Just screenshot this and send it to her. It's kind of funny.
Yeah, sorry, I'm using a hotspot.
Out of necessity, a lot of these districts got pretty much gerrymandered. For instance, Sonora L, which I'm very familiar with. If you go up the hill from me, up Lions Bald Mountain Road, we pick up those students, but they're really Curtis Craig students. And then conversely, we have Jamestown, area 5, right? And so there you go.
Yeah. And then I asked him for the signature language because I wanted the language. He and I, and this is what I've heard, it's because your position is a county-wide position, but we're going to pull the exact language from state election law on that. So that
thank you. Thank you, Kathy, because I did an informal poll on it with CCBE, and I think I received, I don't know, about 18 responses, and most county positions do not have to get signatures of the responses that I got. Only like 3 did.
Okay, so it might be something our county, when this office was created, they did that. So he's going to pull the exact language. I want you to be sure. A PSPS event is scheduled for Wednesday, and we're off of it, but we're kind of on it. So just be aware of that. And that's a tough day. So it's tough for us. And if it goes 2 or 3 days, you know. I think when Lisa said on her PowerPoint for the budget 2020 and 2021, she wanted the year to be over. It's done. It's done.
But all get to go back to normal. Only if we get to go back to normal.
I wanted to let you know that I received a request for report cards for all students in the county from 2 of the supervisors at the county. So in case you hear something of that, my response back was that is a request that you would make to the districts, and here's the contact information for them. And then my other part of my response was report cards are covered under FERPA, also student privacy laws, and that would take an extraordinary amount of labor to redact report cards into a format that would be presentable for them to have. You would have to, and in K3, it's all narrative now and standards-based. So I just wanted you to be aware of my response. So in case it comes up in conversation, you are fully aware of how I responded to that request.
Kathy, did they give you any indication of why they wanted those reports?
They want to compare how students were doing in the fall of 2019 to how students are doing in the fall of 2020, and using grades as that comparison. I did direct them to some other data sources that are a better source of comparison, because some school districts are not grading with letter grades this semester that they might have last, and the grade and the classes are different. The format of the class instruction is different. We're really looking at attendance right now as our big indicator, which Rob alluded to some of the work he's doing.
Okay, and Kathy, one other question, because I just read a report today put out by CSBA on some of the other states' attendance. Do we know how our attendance did last fall throughout the county, and how, or last spring, and how it's doing this fall?
Yes, so we have our P-annual, right, Lisa? That's already been submitted. And then we also have our annual CalPADS data. On the first Wednesday of October, which was last week, we have what's called CBEDS Day. So we have our enrollment data. We won't get our P1 until December, but I will tell you, Rob and his team right now are staffing about 60 to 70 kids for SARB, meaning that's how many referrals they've received. At this time of the year, they might receive a handful. And so it's quite extraordinary in that we have kids that just have fallen off the face of the earth.
Right.
But we've got about 8 people on our staff that's where they're devoted and connecting those kids to resources and their families to resources. Again, it's a community thing because we've got their parents who have lost their jobs, they lost their houses, they're living down in the homeless camps, or they're couch surfing from neighbor to neighbor, and so their kids aren't enrolled. And so again, it's this whole entire community looking out for each other right now. But we know our attendance, we're about 300 students, 300 to 400 students lower in enrollment from last year as a county, and I'll have those exact numbers now that CBEDS was certified last week. I wanted to also let you know on Tuesday, I hope you got the invitation, Nicholas. We have been
Yes, I did.
Great. We've been invited to Columbia Elementary. They have received the first electric bus in Tuolumne in time for the PSPS event. But no, it's great. Joe has done a great job being the leader in that. So we've been invited, and you're welcome to come too. But he wanted to specifically invite Nicholas and myself to the ceremony, which is tomorrow at 5 o'clock in their parking lot there.
Yes.
Great. And then I received an invitation to the jail ceremony, opening ceremony. They have 60 people. They need to whittle it down to 40. And so Bill was very nice. Sheriff Pooley was very nice, and he asked me, would I be really sad if he didn't put me in a tent full of other people waiting on me for whatever number of hours. And I said, I am fine with that. And he'll get us our own personal tour.
Nice.
So, I just wanted you to know, it wasn't a slight. It was, I saved you from being in an incubus of plague for a while. How's that? I think, last one, we received a Workforce Investment Opportunities Act grant of $110,000. That's to serve adult literacy, which, as you know, links back to kids. And so we'll be implementing that. You'll hear more about that. And yes, we'll talk about reorganization meeting in November's board meeting to prepare you for December's board meeting. November will be officially Dawn's last meeting he leads, because we swear everybody in at the beginning of the December meeting. So start thinking of your lovely words to say, or funny stories to tell, Casey, about Dawn.
I created enough humor earlier.
About the margarita machine. That's all I got to say.
I do know Dawn, Dawn knows Judy. It's such a wonderful way to transition. But Dawn, it's going to be unreal not having you.
Well, come by and check your meetings out, make sure everything's running okay. No problem. So, yeah, Judy is amazing, and we're so lucky to have her coming on. I know she'll come on. And I can't describe, her kids are great. She's great. I mean, it's unbelievable. Plus, she has so much experience that, I wish I had that kind of experience she has with schools. I'll tell you, it's incredible. I've only been doing schoolwork for one way or another for about 50 years. But
Thank you, John. Thank you.
Oh, absolutely.
So
You're quite an act to follow. You're quite an act to follow.
I'm talking about you, and I didn't know you were still on.
I swear our meetings don't usually last as long.
Promise? Promise?
I promise. And then next month we're doing a hybrid. Just that's my last thing, is a hybrid. We'll still have the Zoom. Public will not be coming in. It will just be board members in 217 that want to attend in person. And then everything else will still be run the same.
Kathy, will you send us out a list of protocols for attending that meeting?
Oh yeah, you have. Yes, you will.
Kathy,
Or hazmat suits?
I'm ordering my.
Well, there we go. Cindy, go ahead, Cindy, please.
No, it's okay. I was being snarky.
I've been reading about buses and vehicles and whatnot, and anybody here heard about what they call green gas? No. What it is hydrogen. And hydrogen, the byproduct of hydrogen is just water coming out your exhaust pipe. It's at H2O. And eventually that's going to be more efficient than batteries, I think. We'll see. So better save up for those green gas buses. There you go. All right. Anything else, Kathy? How about the board? You've just said your stuff. Okay. Next board meeting, by the way, is, just to remind you, is November 9th, 2020, pardon me, at 4 p.m. It's a hybrid meeting. Some of you will probably be online, some won't. And it's the way it goes. Hopefully the whole board can be in person. That would be really nice. Okay, item 16. Oops.
Dawn,
Yes.
For donuts, I would like one gluten-free, please.
Oh, I do that.
Hey, Krispy Kreme does gluten-free. I'm sorry.
I do come in with a sale for people.
I'll bring my own then.
I'll bring a demo. What kind do you want?
A gluten-free one. That's all I would ask.
Well, I don't know. They have gluten-free milk.
Donut-free.
I'll bring my donut. I'll bring my own donut then.
Okay. Great. Okay. So final thing I want to say is that we got to adjourn eventually so we can go eat or something. And so we need a first, second, and a roll call. So is there a motion, please?
I move we end this beautiful meeting.
Roll call vote. Tony?
Who had the second? Who had the second time?
Oh, I'm so tired. I didn't even give you an offer of a second. That's terrible. Okay, second, please. Second to the motion.
Juliana will second.
Okay, thank you. Been moved and seconded.
Okay.
I think Tony froze. So I will do the roll call vote for her. Okay. Cindy Simonson,
Yes.
Don,
Yes.
Juliana,
Yes.
Stacy,
Yes, ma'am.
Judy,
Yes.
Nick,
Yes.
Rose.
Yes.
I think I got everybody. I got everyone, Tony. They all agreed to adjourn.
Okay. I got it. I heard it anyway, even if you can't hear me.
Kathy, what is the date of the December meeting?
I am looking it up right now.
December 14th.
Thank you.
Yeah, 14.
14.
Okay, it was nice meeting you all.
Hi, guys.
Me
Thanks, Judy.
Yes.
Bye.
Take care.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everybody. Have a great
Bye.